Hi, I'm Meg Callahan with Infectious Disease Special Edition, and I'm here with Dr. Annie Buchanan, who is the Medicines Development Lead for Pediatrics for ViiV Healthcare. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you for having me, Meg. I'm glad to be here.
So I got an interview with you because you had a little bit of news about a new drug application for Dovato. So it was for younger ages, and then there's the dispersible tablet. So walk me through that, correct me on what the application is for.
Yes, so we have submitted a new drug application for a dispersible tablet form of this medicine. That's actually really important for younger children. You can imagine they're not able to take a tablet that adults and even adolescents can swallow. So it's a dispersible tablet that disperses in a small amount of water. We use taste masking as well to make sure that it's a taste that's child friendly, that children will take easily. Super important, you can imagine, for things like compliance and making sure that they're happy to take it every day. And it does extend down to younger ages and weights. And as well, we already have a film-coated tablet that is used by adults and adolescents. And some children prefer to swallow a tablet, children who are older, sometimes even school-age children. So that's also, we're seeking an approval for older children to be able to use that film-coated tablet as well.
Very cool. And this whole thing got me wondering, I'm a journalist, not a doctor. So in the U.S., what are common regimens for children living with HIV?
There are a number of different regimens on the market. Dolutegravir, which is a part of Dovato. Dovato is dolutegravir and 3-TC. It's a 2-drug regimen. Common regimens for most children consists of 3 drugs. And this is where Dovato differs because it's 2 drugs and not 3. And so one of the differences here is that Dovato has been shown in adults to be just as efficacious as 3-drug regimens. So it has the same efficacy and really the same in terms of not having resistance and not leading to failures, as you would see in a 3-drug regimen. The benefits of Dovato are that because you're using 2 drugs rather than 3, you can imagine you have fewer toxicities because you're using 2 drugs. And that is really important when you look at how long people are taking these medications, and especially important for a child. They're going to be on that medication for such a long time, their entire life. And so that's really important, especially for children. So now that we have really good efficacy data in adults, as well as a good safety profile, and the benefit of added decreased risk of toxicities, this is something we thought we should be doing this in children as well and making this available for them.
So you are a pediatrician, infectious disease pediatrician by training, correct?
I am.
So you've prescribed many of these kind of prior medications for children. Could you talk a little bit about navigating that in the day-to-day? I imagine, we talk about adherence in adults being an issue, but, having to take a tablet, or I guess, what are the other options? How is that working?
Yeah, so, to be clear, I am a pediatric infectious disease physician. I don't currently see patients. I've been in drug development for the past 13 years. But my prior experience with seeing patients, and particularly patients with HIV, has really informed my experience in drug development. And to be honest, most of my experience in seeing patients with HIV has been in sub-Saharan Africa. And we know that the majority of our patients, of people living with HIV, children living with HIV, are in sub-Saharan Africa. So that's where most of the problem is. And that experience for me was really transformative. And just to give you an example, when I first started working in sub-Saharan Africa in 2006, I believe it was, children had almost no options for being on HIV treatment. So at the time, when I first arrived to Malawi, children were taking a fixed dose combination adult tablet that consisted of a drug called stavudine, which is now off the market because it's so incredibly toxic, another drug called lamivudine, and the third drug, and they were taking a quarter of the adult tablet. And I'll never forget the first time I had a patient in clinic who was taking this medication, and the mother had broken all of the tablets into quarter tablets for her very young child to take these. And when I opened the bottle to look at the quarter tablets, they had all disintegrated into powder practically, you can imagine. And I thought to myself, how is this child getting the correct dose? And of course they weren't getting the correct dose, they were getting suboptimal levels. And again, that was 20 years ago. So we've come a long way since then. And now we do have pediatric formulations, but we have many fewer than we have for adults. We have about half as many as we do for adults in terms of what's approved and available today. So it's really important that we have available formulations that are palatable, that children can take, that they will be compliant with. So I think, we have come a long way, but we still have quite a ways to go.
That honestly is so shocking. But yeah, I'm just curious about what options are out there. And also, are they all oral tablets? Is that what it is for children pretty much? Are there any other dispersible tablets like you're putting forward?
Yes. So what we have today that is available for children, a first-line regimen will consist of dolutegravir, which is available in a dispersible tablet form, which is fantastic, again, for children. And that's usually put together with two other what we call NRTIs, so two other drugs that help to make up the rest of the regimen. And that could be something like 3-TC or lamivudine, which makes up the other part of Dovato. And then a third drug such as abacavir. It might be a drug like zidovudine, which you've probably heard of as well. That will typically be a first-line regimen for a younger child. For older children, you might substitute out the abacavir or the AZT for a drug called tenofovir. But typically, those drugs are in the same classes. Your backbone drug would be something like dolutegravir, which is in a class that we refer to as integrase inhibitors. And so, yes, we do have dispersible tablet formulations available for many of our pediatric formulations because those are what are preferred for children. Where we are going in the future is long-acting injectable regimens because we see that these are very much preferred by adults. We do have some long-acting injectable regimens that are now approved for adolescents, and we have studies where we are looking at the same for children. So absolutely, that's something that's really nice because we hear from patients that with long-acting injectable regimens, they're able to forget about their disease. It helps to take away the stigma of living with HIV because they only have to receive an injection every couple of months without, having to take an oral medication that they may have to hide from their family or their friends. And that can be a game changer.
Really, I didn't know about that for children, so that is an exciting thing to look forward to. New studies coming out in the future.
Yeah.
So that, the thought of the future for children living with HIV and being able to take a shot instead, going for your vaccines at the pediatrician and maybe going to the clinic and getting your long-acting injectable, that would be, fantastic for many people. But we're not there yet. And what are the gaps that are remaining? You want to talk about globally, or if you want to talk about in the U.S.?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the thing for me that is most striking that will likely resonate with you and other people is that we still only have about half, it's actually 55%, of children living with HIV who are actually on treatment. And that's compared to 78% of adults.
That's shocking.
It is shocking. We still have a lot of work to do. And then if you look at the number of children living with HIV who are on treatment, less than half of them are virologically suppressed, right? And you know that the goal of when you're on treatment is to have virologic suppression. You know, typically we say less than 50 copies so that it's undetectable. And that's, if you compare that to adults, about 3/4 of adults who are on treatment achieve virologic suppression. So those, for me, those are the two main gaps. We have to do better. We have to find children that, and some of those are systems gaps, right? They're not getting diagnosed, they're not getting into care. Pregnant mothers are not getting diagnosed in a timely fashion, or they're falling out of care. Some of those are systems problems. Part of it, I think, is treatment related too. We have to provide, you know, the same treatments we're providing for adults. They have to be treatments that children will adhere to, that they can stay on, that bridge some of these treatment gaps, right? But yeah, those are, I think, really shocking, and they should shock us. It's not okay. The other thing I didn't mention, if a child, a baby in the first 2 years of life, if they're not on treatment, their mortality rate is 50%. So we have to find them. We have to get them on treatment. It's a matter of urgency.
That literally takes my breath away. That is very, very harsh. And, you know, but I think the positive here is that there's possibly, with your new drug application, there could be more options in the U.S. And also there was a submission to the European Medicines Agency, correct?
Yes. I mean, I think what we do at ViiV, what other companies are doing, what we do with our global partners, it's not about any one company. And I love the work that we do at ViiV. We're very committed to leaving no patients behind, and that includes children. But this is a global effort, especially when it comes to children. We work very much with our partners. So the work that we did for Dovato, for example, this was a study that was conducted with the Penta Network. And we do many of our studies in pediatrics, working with our partners in pediatrics. So we can't do the work without them, and they often can't do the work without us. We end up usually, you know, we often consult the WHO for ideas and collaboration. How can we best work together? My point is, it has to be a global effort. We all have to work together if we really want to end pediatric HIV. And it is a goal that I think is within reach. Right now, we're a bit far from it. But for example, ending vertical transmission, perinatal transmission, is something we could achieve. We have the medications to do it, but we have to fix some of these systems issues. We have to bridge some of those gaps.
Yeah. So what are you doing to make your medications available and accessible to people in all parts of the globe?
Yeah. So we work closely with the medicines patent pool and frequently with generic companies. A great example of that is what was done with dolutegravir. So I mentioned dolutegravir is available in a dispersible tablet pediatric formulation. And that is a nice sort of success story. And it's not just ViiV's success story, it's a global success story that definitely includes ViiV, but it includes our global partners. And dolutegravir is now available in the dispersible form in over 120 countries. And the reason that was so successful is because ViiV was, of course, the innovator, the company that made dolutegravir. We conducted the study with the Impact Network, the Pediatric Clinical Trials Network, also together with our partners at the Penta Foundation. They also did another study called Odyssey. So we generated the data together with our pediatric partners. After that data was generated, we used data from both of our partners together to submit the data for regulatory submissions to the EMA, to the FDA. We got licenses from EMA and FDA, and then we worked with generic companies and did a tech transfer together with CHI and Unitaid to allow generics to make a dispersible tablet formulation for generics. Unitaid was used as the incentive partner, CHI, because they have experience doing that, working with generics and helping them with their applications. And as a result of that, it was able to be rolled out on a very large global scale. And I think that's a great example of something that was done. We've also done that with Triumec. And, you know, I think we try to do that where it's possible. Obviously, it doesn't happen with every single medication on the market. But I think where, you know, when we see an opportunity and it's important for children or for adults, I think we try to do that.
Dr. Annie Buchanan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can catch everything from Infectious Disease Special Edition.